Mother leaves her child with father, and after 1 hour she is in a coma, and the reason is... Babies are little and fragile, and you'd never imagine that anyone who loves children would hurt your little one. Nevertheless, abusive head trauma AHT or shaken baby syndrome is the second most common cause of death among infants after sudden infant death syndrome. Cheyenne Ray Owensby parents split up shortly after she was born. Every other weekend, the little girl stayed with her dad. One day when Cheyenne was 8 months old, her mother Amy dropped her daughter off at her dad's house. Only an hour and a half later, Amy received a phone call that no mother ever wants to get. Her daughter was being rushed to a nearby hospital in a helicopter, not breathing. James Davis Jr. was annoyed and angry that his baby daughter wouldn't stop crying, so he shook her, hoping she'd quiet down. It was a decision he'll regret for the rest of his life. He shook Cheyenne so hard that her skull was cracked and she suffered bleeding on the brain. Doctors didn't think Cheyenne would survive the night because she had such extensive injuries. When the little girl's mother Amy arrived at the hospital, she saw her daughter lying in a hospital bed full of tubes and bandages. Cheyenne had to undergo many operations and she had to have half of her brain removed, writes the Daily Mail. But against all odds, the little girl fought on, and after a month in the hospital, Cheyenne was allowed to go home. Cheyenne's mom Amy wrote about what she went through on the Facebook page Prayers for Cheyenne Ray. I dropped my happy, healthy 8-month-old baby girl off with her dad for the night. An hour and a half later, I got the call that changed my life forever. My sweet baby wasn't breathing. The man I was in love with, my first love, high school sweetheart, a guy I had known and shared a life with almost 10 years, did this to our daughter. My whole world came crashing down. On Cheyenne's Facebook page, you can also read that Cheyenne's father, James Davis Jr., was sentenced to 10 years in prison and 5 years of probation after serving his sentences. Despite having half of her brain removed, Cheyenne learned to talk and play. She's paralyzed on the right side of her body, but she survived and fights on despite her disability. Today, she's 5 years old and enjoying life. And when you see her beautiful smile, you'd never know what happened to her that fateful night. This family was suffering. A distraught mom is urging parents to trust your instincts after her baby spent 9 days in the ICU with suspected shaken baby syndrome, a traumatic brain injury caused by violent shaking. Katie Dorne from the US said she was asked to pick up her 4-month-old son Maverick from daycare because he wasn't feeling well, but later that night she knew something wasn't right. Ms. Dorne and her husband rushed their baby to the Children's Hospital in St. Paul, Minnesota, where doctors told him he'd suffered a brain bleed and multiple other injuries, she claims. His injuries are highly suggestive of shaken baby syndrome, and he has suffered significant trauma, including a brain bleed, Ms. Dorne said. We spent 9 days in ICU due to a disgusting act of frustration. Ms. Dorne claims an incident at daycare caused Maverick's injuries, and there's an ongoing open criminal investigation to get to the bottom of it. While she couldn't say much more, she claims the daycare center has since been shut down. Baby may suffer lifelong injuries. According to the National Institutes of Health, NIH, a baby has a weak neck muscles and a large, heavy head, so shaking makes the fragile brain bounce back and forth inside the skull and causes bruising, swelling, and bleeding. This can lead to permanent severe brain damage or even death. The devastated mom has detailed Maverick's journey on TikTok, sharing heartbreaking pictures of her baby strapped up to wires as his tiny body lays on the hospital bed, seemingly unaware of what's going on around him. At one point, the young baby was having 13-minute-long seizures with a helpless mom admitting she didn't think he would make it, and she said doctors thought the same. Despite this, young Maverick made an astonishing recovery and was sent home last month, but the family still have a long road ahead, Ms. Dorne said. The family are now raising money to help with Maverick's recovery. The money will go towards hospital bills and ongoing medical support, which may be lifelong. Mav is on medication 3 times a day to control his seizures. He has multiple doctor's appointments, MRIs, and x-rays the next few weeks, it said on the family's GoFundMe page. Ms. Dorne is now raising awareness about the dangers of shaken baby syndrome. This was 100% preventable, she said. Please keep us in your prayers as we embark on this new journey. There has been an outpouring of support online as strangers admit the devastating news has left them heartbroken. I'm so beyond sorry. It's horrific that daycare should be a safe place for kids and it just isn't always. My heart's broken for your family, one person wrote. Our hearts are broken for this little guy. He's in our thoughts and prayers constantly. I can't imagine how devastated you all are, another said. Others pray for a full recovery as they keep the family in their prayers. The family have so far raised over $26,000. What do you think of this incident? Have you ever experienced anything like this? Please share and subscribe to our channel and give us a thumbs up.